Guys, I want to share with you again. I've done a number of videos on this similar topic, but I found so much value myself in this way of thinking. I want to continue to try to clarify this and share this with you guys. I think this is just one of those kind of philosophical foundational ideas that, while somewhat ironic, is so confidence building, and I think sets me up for success in a way that a lot of other foundational principles don't. And it is somewhat ironic because the one of the more confident beliefs that I have is that I don't know. And it is amazing, I think. I find it somewhat amazing how knowing I don't know actually can set me up for success. And it's like one of the most confident truths that I put weight on is the truth that I don't know what is true. And I've talked about this before, and I just think it's worth it. It's worth doing this again, talking about it again. And I want to try to get a little bit more specific in how I use this. So I'll try to give a specific example of how I use the fact that I believe I don't know to set me up for success. And it's one of those things that I think about, I want to be a wise person. I want to understand how the world works. I want to be good at playing this game. And so far, in my search for wisdom and beliefs that are productive and valuable, ironically, the belief that I know I don't know, and some of the takeaways that I build on from that belief and the way that I then approach the world from the foundational belief that I don't know what is true is actually really productive. And I want to talk about that. And then, like I said, I want to play this in to the bear market. So one guy I appreciate is Ray Dalio. And he has this book called Principles. And towards the beginning of the book, he basically kind of opens with this quote: "Before I begin telling you what I think, I want to establish that I'm a dumb shit who doesn't know much relative to what I need to know. Whatever success I've had in life has had more to do with my knowing how to deal with my not knowing than anything I know." And that just resonates really strongly with me. And of course, Ray Dalio started the world's biggest hedge fund, and he's been very successful. And it's interesting hearing someone that has separated himself, he's a billionaire, from other people, stating that he is not attributing his success with what he knows. It's more with how to deal with what he doesn't know. And I also want this line of thinking also relates to all the way back to Socrates, where Socrates is basically saying, they call it a Socratic paradox, that he knows nothing, or some people say he thinks he knows nothing. And, one of the first philosophers of the world that is credited, with so many productive observations and philosophical, so much of the foundation of philosophy relates back to Socrates. And he's observing that he knows he doesn't know something. And it's a paradox, because to say that you don't know is clearly contradiction. If you know you don't know, then how do you know you don't know? And that's why but the idea, I think, is just worth recognizing. This is an age-old, relatively time-tested idea that we don't know. And then it also reminds me of Solomon, this other historic wise guy, saying, how do you get wisdom? And he says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. And to me, this relates. Like, what does that even mean? What does the fear of the Lord mean? To me, it means the recognition that there's an ultimate thing that is not you, that I don't want to pretend to understand fully what it is, but for me, my current understanding has something to do with there is truth out there, and it's not within you, it's something else. Hold that other thing high, not yourself. And recognize, it's just to me a recognition that the focus is off of you knowing. Knowing is something outside of you is truth, not you yourself. That's kind of how I take that. But like I said, I want to take into account, so how do I use this practically speaking? And I think I've talked about this on some other videos a little bit, mainly when I'm on other people's channels. I haven't talked about it a lot on my channel, but I think the assumption that you don't know is really, for example, I think the foundation for why someone would, for example, dollar cost average. It's the dollar cost average to me is based on the idea that someone doesn't know where the top of the market's going to be, where the bottom of the market's going to be. That's why you average that way. Like Ray Dalio is saying, whatever success I've had in my life has more to do with knowing how to deal with not knowing. Dollar cost averaging is a way to deal with not knowing where the bottom is. If you dollar cost average, you never go all in on the very bottom. You give that up. But you're willing to diversify a dollar cost average and spread out your buys over time. That way your average is theoretically better. It's a way to win without knowing. And another common narrative that I think has value, that is based, I think, directly on the assumption that one does not know, is diversification. Why would I diversify if I knew what the best thing to invest in was? I wouldn't. I would put everything in it. But I don't know what the best thing to invest in is, and so I try to hedge my bets. I try to put money in maybe dollar cost average as a way to put money into diversification. But to me, the diversification has value because it is a way to still have something to show for it without knowing which particular thing will actually show really valuable over time. You can diversify into more things. You're never going to be as good as if you just put all your money in the one thing that did the best. But if I take into account that I don't know what that is going to be, I can have a chance of still doing well while recognizing my own ignorance. And I want to go a little bit deeper in this and try to talk through a way of thinking that has given me a lot of peace and confidence. And it's really related to, those are some examples that I've already given. But another way is, let's just say we're looking at this bear market and I don't know. Talk about what I don't know. I don't know how long it's going to be. I don't know how low it's going to be. I don't even know. I don't fully know if, for example, we've already bottomed. That is a possibility. It seems, I would bet relatively heavily that we haven't bottomed, but I don't know that we have. And so what I do is I kind of look into myself and ask myself my own priorities. And a lot of times I'm looking at fear I kind of look back from the future. I put myself, years from now, looking back, what risks matter to me? So for example, I ask myself, would I rather wait for what I think is the bottom of the bear market and have a chance of getting that really right? But I know I don't know where the bottom is. So would I rather Because if I wait to time the market, I risk buying the bottom, and I risk the chance the market's already bottomed and starts going up. And that's a situation for me that I would weight relatively heavily on avoiding. I don't want to like see the market going up and be like, oh shoot, let's wait for a good entry. And that entry, the market just keeps going up and my entry's terrible. That's kind of happened to me before. And for me, I'm like, I'd rather have some funds in after a large drop. Not all of my funds, but I'd rather have some in just to know that if it bottomed, I have something to show for it. And so that's just one truth within myself. I'm willing to take into account that I don't know where the bottom is, but I can put some money in so that I know if the market goes up, because I don't know if that might happen. So it may. So I have some in just in case to cover myself from that potential reality that may happen. But I don't go all in because realistically, I think that we're going to have lower, and I want to take advantage of that. And really what I do is I play out the unknowns. And I ask myself, in a sense, how do I diversify? How do I average out the unknowns so that regardless of what happens, I have something to show for it? And that's really a way that I approach a lot of situations. I look at the two extremes. What if we've bottomed? That's an extreme. What if it's 2 years until we bottom? That's an extreme in my mind. How do I maximize the opportunity between those two? One is put a little bit in now and then wait. Let's see if we have a really big drop coming. And, my uneducated, my not knowing what will happen would suggest that early next year, we may have the bottom and then we may roughly build up and crash throughout 2023. But I basically also, since I've put money in, I'm not really excited to put more in unless we drop quite a bit from that amount. It's kind of where I'm at. And so I'm really just waiting. And I'm really, another thing is I'm because I know I don't know, I almost never want to go all in. As soon as I go all in, I remove the ability to act if an opportunity comes up that I didn't foresee. And I don't know when opportunity is going to arise. So I almost never go all in. And it's the same thing. It's built on the assumption that I don't know. And I try to make educated guesses. So like, I weight certain decisions heavier than others because it seems more probable, and I want to use, the best picture of reality that I have to make decisions. It's just because I don't know doesn't mean that I'm not more, because I can be more confident in one thing than another. And so the fact that I don't know, it isn't as if every decision is equal. There's still a weighted decisions. Like some decisions do appear better to me than others, and so I will try to follow that the best I can. For example, going all in to me is an admittance that I know, or at least it's an admittance that, if other unknown good opportunities come up, I won't be able to take part of them because I've gone all in. And that's just a scenario for myself that I really, really would like to avoid. And I think playing through the two extremes that can happen in the majority of situations, you can usually give them two extremes. And when it comes to the bear market, the two extremes would be we've already bottomed versus we don't bottom for a long time. And the bottom is really severe relative to even where we are now. And so I basically play through, what if we've bottomed? What if we bottom a long time from now and very deep? How do I deal with not knowing what is going to happen? And it ends up looking more like diversification. And for me, it gives me a lot of peace and confidence because I'm not reliant on one thing happening. I'm not reliant on a false belief because I don't know what's going to happen. I can allow opportunity and the markets to do whatever the heck they want to do. And I find peace in that. And then like another extreme is that the crypto market never comes back, that it fails. Another extreme is that all of the tokens that I decide to invest in don't come back. Maybe the market comes back, but it's different tokens than I've invested in. And those are kind of hard scenarios just because, they're within the realm of possibility. But at the same time, for me, it's like I just know how I deal with that is I know that I always want to act as best I can with what I think. And I accept that I don't know, but I accept that I have to do the best with what I think. And I will never regret, I just know myself, I will never regret trying. I will never regret fighting. There's this cool story, another biblical story that really resonated with me when I was older. And it's the story of, it's basically, if Jacob and Esau in the Bible, and Jacob's coming back basically to his homeland again, and he fights an angel. And he asks the angel to bless him. And the angel ends up basically busting his hip, but blessing him. And it's so interesting to me that story is in the Bible. And there's other stories kind of like it that I think have a similar principle. Basically, fighting with reality, like fighting with something more powerful than you for good for yourself, which I think is what Jacob was doing. He was wrestling with an angel. I think that is an example of, and I can see this play out in so many different ways. Fight with reality. Like, ask to be blessed. Strive for good things. Ask good things of reality, and that's what I'm going to do. That's how I'm approaching life. I'm going to be a fighter. And it's a very rewarding, I found it a very rewarding way to try to face reality. And so even though I don't know what's going to happen, I'm still going to fight. I'm going to do the best with what I do know and take into account as best as I can, knowing I don't know anything, try to play the scenarios so that within extremes, I still come out with something to show for it. And it's a way to live with few regrets. At least I tried. At least I was fighting for something better. And yeah, those massive extremes could happen. The crypto market can never come back. I think it's a relatively low probability that will happen, but it's possible. It could be significantly longer than 2 years or something. And like I said, I could pick the wrong tokens, but I will always fight. I will always try. And I will always be trying to basically build a better future for myself and for the people that I care about. And I love the process because I think the knowledge that I get learning is really rewarding. And I would like to be able to share what I've learned of life with, for example, my kids and with the people around me. I feel like, how can I be a good friend if I don't have wisdom, if I don't understand how reality works? And those are just really meaningful things to me. And I think even playing the crypto game is helping me learn reality. And anyway, like accepting that I don't know and then making a plan that helps me win anyway is a rewarding, productive approach that I've found. And this is just simply some ways that I go about it. And that's what's on my mind.